This is the e-learning podcast, episode number 45.
People come to me and they say, I'd really love it if I could make 20% more in the next 6 months. I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that in 4 weeks. And then we'll kind of go from there. And they look at me like, I don't know about that. And then they hit that. Like we helped someone the other day go from $30,000 a month to he had $100,000 a month 3 months later.
Whoa.
And it's just the smile on his face was like, I thought it was going to break. And I held somebody come to me and they were making $4,000 a month and they wanted to get to 10 to 15 eventually. It's like, you're just not thinking big enough here.
Welcome to the e-learning podcast from lmspulse.com. My name's Stephen Laddick, and I'm the director at LMS Pulse. My guest for today's show is John Ainsworth. He's the founder and CEO of Data-Driven Marketing. In this conversation, John is going to convince you that as a course creator, you're most likely underselling yourself. Tell me if your story goes more or less like this. You've taken the time to make the most amazing, high-quality course you're capable of, and then you've released it into the wild, and you've gotten a handful of sales, right? You're probably fine with the outcome thus far, but of course, you'd like to figure out how you can get more sales to come in. In this conversation, John provides a super compelling case for how a little bit of structure and effort in your marketing funnel can make your e-learning courses really take off. And if you're willing to put in the work, how the payoff can be tangibly life-changing. In this mindset tweaking interview, we talk about why John is such a believer in the e-learning space because of its current market potential and the common qualities of the people in the field. He's always thrilled by seeing someone being capable of accomplishing new things. We also talk about the hurdles of the middle, or why course creators often miss the mark when it comes to marketing their own amazing products. We also talk about the psychology of online sales and overcoming your fears of being too salesy. More often than not, a good offer is just very helpful. Just call it the Happy Meal principle. We also talk about why improving your marketing actions, from increasing value per sale, conversion rates, or subscription volumes, they'll always benefit by tackling them from an educational point of view. And then finally, we ultimately talk about why your marketing should be at least as helpful to your clients as the courses you're selling, if not more. But before we get started, a quick word from our sponsors.
The e-learning podcast is sponsored by the e-learning Success Summit. Learn from more than 40 experts how to teach, work, and learn online without being overwhelmed. Get your free ticket to the summit at elearningsuccesssummit.com. And lmspulse.com, your best source for news, information, and resources for e-learning professionals for more than 10 years. Get our free roundup of the week's top news at lmspulse.com.
Hello, John. Welcome to the e-learning podcast. How are you today?
I am fabulous. All the better for talking with you, Stephen.
Oh, John, you look like it's cold. Is it cold? Where are you sitting?
So I'm in London and the weather has not yet recognized that it's supposed to be spring. It's just like spring is starting and it's 25th of May.
I was just going to say, we're closing out May, man. Come on, we got to change this story.
Well, normally I would take this opportunity to go, I'll just go to somewhere else. I work remotely. I can work from anywhere. Just I would have gone somewhere, but with COVID and the tests and all of that, it's like, ain't gonna happen. So yeah.
Nice. Well, as you mentioned, we're recording this at the bottom of May 2021, just to put a time capsule on that there. You are the founder of an organization called Data-Driven Marketing. And, for some people, they're going to be like, this is more digital marketing. Or other people are going to be like, what the heck is data-driven marketing mean? Like data is sexy. Give us the 30 seconds of what is data-driven marketing? What do you focus on? And, how do you help people?
Yeah, well, we help online course creators who've got a source of traffic. It could be YouTube, podcast, book, Google traffic, whatever. And they've got a bunch of courses that people love. And they're missing the step in between, which is how do you convert that traffic into sales of their courses? And so we help those guys to double their revenue by implementing various different marketing funnel tactics.
Okay,
so that
awesome.
Could be email marketing, having more opt-ins on the website, anything that helps to convert more people into sales.
Tell me why you specifically target people who already have traffic. Is that just not a part of what you do, or that's in my experience, that's a pretty big first hurdle. Do I have that correct?
Yeah. So maybe 10 years ago, it was easier to drive traffic. You could do all of those things. What we found is if we focused on traffic and funnels, we just didn't think we could be absolutely world class at it. And we're kind of obsessive about being like just unbelievably good at stuff. So we're like, let's niche down till we get to the point where we're like, okay, cool, we can make that work. So what we do is we help people to build a funnel, overall funnel for their entire, like I'm kind of using a broad sense of the word here, for their whole site and all their courses, and get that working really well with their existing traffic. And that we might spend months on that. And now if they had to spend months on that and they weren't making money from it in the meantime, that's really hard for people. But because they've got an existing traffic source, we can make people, we're going to help them to double their revenue. And they're like delighted with that. And then we help them to turn on ads. So they're driving more traffic in. And we don't do ads ourselves, but we connect them with other people who do. And once you've got the funnel, anyone who does ads, the thing that is the bane of their life is a client comes to them and says, I want you to help me make more money through ads. And they don't have a high converting funnel. But if you go to them and you've got a magnificent funnel that works great, and people on your email list buy, and you've got upsells and all kinds of clever stuff there, you turn ads on, the whole thing scales fantastically. If you have to start with ads and funnel at once, it's really hard.
Why courses? How did you discover courses? Because I mean, it could be, you could be selling puppy chow, you could be, doing e-commerce, you could be doing, coaching, you could be any kind of sort of, there's so many different flavors. How did you land on courses?
Well, it's a combination of a few things. So we started out by doing a range of different services. We worked with SaaS business providers and e-commerce and all kinds of different things, people doing lead generation. And we found that we tended to get the best results for people selling online courses. So that was one part of it. The second one was, to a certain extent, I feel like most people have got enough stuff. E-commerce is great, and there's good things out there, right? There's great products that people don't have, and there's things that I find online and I love them. And it's only to an extent. But I feel very passionate about education, that more people would benefit I've benefited so much from taking courses. When I didn't have enough money to maybe get one-to-one coaching on a topic, and I could just take a course on it for like $200 or something like that. I was like, this is amazing. Way better than a book, way more detailed. I get access to all these insights, all these incredible information, whatever it is, $200, $300, $500. It's like, this is just unbelievable how much I can learn and how much better I can get from going through this. So I feel really passionate about helping those course creators to get that information out. And another part of it I see is, one of the reasons I think we did well with it is a lot of course creators are really good people. And they want to share their information. They want to get it out there into the world. And so they've created these great courses. They're an expert in this topic. They've created a load of content on YouTube or, blog posts or whatever it is. And they've built an audience because they're sharing so much great stuff. And they don't realize how much more they could be making. They don't realize then that, like, people come to me and they say, I'd really love it if I could make 20% more in the next 6 months. I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that in 4 weeks. And then we'll kind of go from there. And they look at me like, I don't know about that. And then they hit that. Like, we helped someone the other day go from $30,000 a month to he had $100,000 a month 3 months later.
Whoa.
And it's just the smile on his face was like, I thought he was going to break. And I held somebody come to me and they were making $4,000 a month and they wanted to get to 10 to 15 eventually. It's like, you're just not thinking big enough here. He hit 15,000 last month. And it's like, okay, well, now we're going to look at how do we double that again? And it's partly because we're really good, but it's partly because the people who they've built all this audience, they've built all this trust, they've built these fantastic courses, and they just haven't done anything on that middle bit. And so we come in and do stuff in the middle part, and they can just take off from there. And that's, if people come to me and they're like, I've got a course, but I've got no traffic and I haven't proven that people like the course yet. I'm like, come back in 3 years, once you've done all of the other work, and then we can kind of go from there. Interesting.
So you are the glycerin that you put in the gas tank, that really basically, like, the engine's running, maybe even if you're only even going 2 miles an hour, you take them up to 100 miles an hour. And if you're going 100 miles an hour, you go from, a stock car to a Formula One kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got a presentation that I do that you've seen. I use the
That's right. You do bit my funnel. I walked into that without even thinking about it. That's fantastic.
And it's like, yeah, we think of it like we're a turbocharger. Someone described it as once. It's like a guy called Dan Andrews. I know that you know Dan as well. And he said, you blow air in people's engines. I was like, yeah, that's what we do. They have to have an engine, they have to have a car, and then we come along and we blow air into it, and that makes it go faster.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So on that note, which incidentally, I love the story of how you found courses, because finding what you're passionate about, finding where you feel really comfortable, because that's how you show up, and ultimately how you're able to help people, because you get passionate about, that particular topic. I love it.
Yeah, I was very deliberately looking for what is the combination of what am I good at, what do I like doing, and what does the market want? Like, where is that combination? I spent a lot of time soul searching and asking people questions and trying things out to go, I know it's there, like a sweet spot that you hit it. And like, it's like when you're surfing and you catch the wave. And it's like, you're no longer paddling. You're not doing so much. You're just like flying forwards. It's like, I know it's there. And we kind of found that for us with that. I can't completely even answer your question as to why we do that. It's just, we just found it was like, right, that works for us. That's where we're.
But I think that's so many. I mean, I've been talking to people on podcasts now for a decade, right? And inevitably, the rare bird is the person who said, you know what? I woke up when I was 10 years old. I knew I was going to be an astronaut. I went through the astronaut program. I got into the astronaut thing, and now I'm on a space. Like, that is the rarest individual ever. What we all do is we stumble along, we have these circuitous paths, we have these aha moments, life circumstances happen. And then, luckily for some of us, we end up in a place where, all of these pieces fit together and it works really well. And that's what I'm going to be doing. And who knows, we could talk in 5 years from now and you could say, look, it's not courses, it's courses about blues guitar. And that's all you do. You know what I mean? Like, it could niche down, or maybe it could blow up, or whatever it is. Right. Again, I know that you got a lot of guitar examples. So, so let's go back to, funnel 101, just, a lot of people are going to be listening to this who, our audience is a lot of higher education professionals, a lot of instructors, a lot of people who get up in front of a classroom and, either have now pivoted to delivering online or whatnot. Like, what is a funnel? Help us understand, like, what do you mean when you're saying that?
Yeah. One of the problems with the term funnel is that it is not very carefully defined, and it's used to mean slightly different things in slightly different circumstances. So I'll give the broad one, and then I'll give the really specific, like more, industry agreed one. So the sales funnel is, like, in my mind, if you're talking about it as a whole, it's everything from when someone gets to your website to getting onto your email list, buying from you, repeat sales, that whole process of, like, how do you convert visitors into sales, happy customers, repeat customers, all of that. The technical definition in terms of when you're actually building something, and it's like what something is known as a funnel as opposed to like the entire kind of concept, is when somebody is buying something from you, what happens next? So they go to the sales page, and then they go to the order page, and then what is there on the order page? What does that look like? Is there an order bump? Is there like an additional product to buy? After they've bought something there, what's on the thank you page? Is it an upsell to another product? Or is it a downsell? Is it which is like a downsell is like maybe a payment plan or something like that. You've bought this, you didn't want to buy the expensive thing, but maybe you'll buy it if we offer you for 6 monthly payments or something. And then all of the emails that follow up if they didn't buy, that's like technically a funnel. But generally when people talk about funnels, they mean the entire like whole process. So it's everything from, how do you get somebody onto the email list in the first place? How do you warm up that audience by sending them useful content? Do you do webinars for them? Do you do Facebook Lives? What do you offer in terms of, do you have low price products and high price products? Because some people will want the low price stuff and some will want the high price things. And some will be more likely to buy the high price thing if they've bought a cheap one first and then they liked it and then they buy something else. All of that stuff is what's missing for most people. They haven't thought that much about it. They've just created a load of courses.
All right. Excellent. So where do we start? Like if I'm, and now I'm, I'm obviously if I'm somebody who has traffic, I've got a course, think people are coming in, they're landing either on a homepage or, some other platform in order to say, click, hey, here, buy this course.
Yeah.
Take us where we start.
Yeah. So there's three main things that people can do that are going to make a huge difference. And I'll start with the easiest and work through the list. So the top one is increase the amount of revenue per sale. And most people, they're not doing anything around this. And this is the easiest thing to increase. Second one is increase the percentage of email subscribers who buy each month.
Okay.
And most people do very, very little about this. And then the third one is increase the number of email subscribers. So get more of your website traffic or your YouTube traffic or whatever to convert onto your email list. So if we start off with the increasing revenue per sale, there's two very simple, straightforward tactics. I won't get into the super advanced stuff because I think it's like people hear these really advanced tactics and want to go do them. And I'm like, just do the basics. It'll take you a week to implement instead of 6 months, and it's going to make you money in a week. Do it, please. Honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I think that happens in everything, right? It's just like, look, take the baby steps, make sure the baby steps are working really, really well, and then refine, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So the two things you can do to increase revenue per sale, I mentioned them before, they're upsells and order bumps. They're very, very straightforward. Almost all course creation software that's designed for like the kind of audience that we're working with has these built in, like Teachable, for example, and Kajabi, and you can do it in ClickFunnels, and wherever you're putting your courses, then you can put in upsells and order bumps. And an order bump is simply that somebody has on the checkout page, there is a tick box. And on that tick box, it says, would you like to also get this additional item that goes with what you're buying? It's going to be an extra $17, $37, $99, whatever the price is. So is it all right if I share screen just to kind of show anyone what?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, throw up your screen. We'll talk the people through for whoever's whoever's listening just on the audio here. But
so what I'll pull up here is just going to Google and then doing a search for order bumps, and we're going to look under images.
Okay. When you're when you are talking about, you said $17, $30, do you find, I'll just ask the question, is an automatic bump or an auto bump, is it usually less than, the same as, or more than the price of the original product?
Yeah, so it's normally less than,
okay,
but it can be the same as, depending on how cheap your initial product is. If you're selling what's known as a tripwire product, which is something where you've made it super cheap just to get people to buy something, so they kind of get used to buying from you and they get great value and then they're happy, then that might be $17 for a tripwire product, in which case the order bump's probably going to be a bit more than that. You might have something for $27, $37.
Okay.
But if you're selling a course for $99 or $149 or $200, your order bump's still probably not going to be more than like $40, $50, something like that.
All right. Cheers.
This is an example, like this is built in ClickFunnels, and you can see ClickFunnels is a little bit more of the aggressive online marketing kind of style built into them. That's the way. So you can see there's the bright red arrow, and what you can't see is this would probably be moving back and forth to point to that.
Sure, of course, yeah.
You go to something like Kajabi, and you're going to get, so here you go, Samcart. You've got one that's a little bit more understated. There's a box here, and it says, "Get our 8 top secret checkout page conversion tactics. They'll help you get 2 to 3 times more customers each day. Add to your order for just $47, normally $199." And there's a tick box. And these tend to convert at about 60% conversion rate, depending on the price of the main offer versus the price of the order bump and, your audience, a few other things, but that kind of range. So that means if you had something for a similar price to your main product, you'd be adding 60% to your average cart value, 60% to how much you're making from each person, which is huge. Like it makes an enormous difference. And most people don't do it at all. So that's what's the
psychology behind why most people don't do it?
Most people have just never thought about it. And I find that really interesting because it's everywhere around us. Like if you go to the cinema and you buy a cinema ticket, They offer you, would you like to get some popcorn?
Well, you can't get into you can't get into the theater without passing by the concession stand, right? I mean,
right, exactly. It's just there. It's normal. It's, you go to McDonald's and you ask for a Big Mac. What do they say? Do you want fries with that? Fries is their order.
Well, now it's the value meal, right? I mean, they've already put the package together for you. It's like, well, don't just buy the sandwich. You might as well just buy the whole thing anyway. So
yeah, exactly. And it just makes, it's the things that go with something that you're already buying that just makes sense to get it as well. That's what works as an order bump. And it's just surrounds us. And yet course creators, it's kind of not part of their world.
Well, so take me through, you must have some coaching / psychology that you do with, especially with course creators who come in initially for you, who, again, they've got traffic, they're making some sales in this, but my guess is, just knowing what I know, having been in sales forever, that there's this guilty feeling. There is this, I don't want to be a used car salesman feeling. There's these, like, what do you say to course creators who they're like, I don't want to become that person. Like,
yeah. And that's our audience. They're the people who don't want to become that person. And what I view this as is, and this is what we try and get across through our course and through our, coaching and training, this kind of thing, is this is about serving your audience. This is about, yes, it's going to make you more money, and that's great. But it's also about, how do you help your audience? Like, do you think that what you are offering is excellent? Do you think that your customers, even your customers, but definitely your prospects, people on your email list, know about what you have available? Because they don't. They have no idea. We have a client who he surveyed his list and asked them, what courses should I make? What would you be desperate to buy from me? And people told him that he should make a course on a certain topic that he had made a course on 2 years ago. But it was on his website and they had never gone and looked for it. They're on his email list. They like his stuff. They bought something from him. They did not realize he had that. If people just expect the customer to go and look for all these things, then you're expecting them to go do all the work. Like, how can you take this to them? How can you make it easy? Don't pressure them. Don't make it, like if you don't buy this now, it'll never be available again. You'll fail and your family will all view you as an idiot. Don't do that. But just say, would you like to also get this? You can do that in a nice way. This thing goes really well with this other product. Would you like to get that? When you go onto Amazon and you want to buy something, then they have other products that other people who bought that also bought. And I don't know about you, but I never see that and think, how dare they show me that? I don't always buy the thing, but it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, great. I could get this as well. That's nice. And that's like how we try and think about it, or how we try and get our clients to think about it. And it's like, if you think people are going to get annoyed by it, if you test it and they get annoyed by it, then take it down. That's fine.
Sure. Do something
But nobody does. Nobody is annoyed by this.
So take us to this. What's the second? So you had the order bumps.
Yeah, upsells. So the idea with an upsell is somebody's bought something from you, and let's say it is your beginner level course on learning Spanish. What is the next thing that they should get? What is the next obvious step, or what's the bundle that they should get from you? So let's say they bought the beginner level one. Maybe they just want to buy all of your courses for one great deal right now. Or maybe they've bought level one and you want to say, well, how about if you get the intermediate one now? Or something like, if they buy a course on building funnels, maybe they want to get a course on Facebook ads. Or, they are learning about their home recording studio. And you're like, I know that once they've done this, it's going to create this second problem. And the second problem, I've got another course that solves that. So I'll just mention it to them now as well. And that's generally something either the same price as your original product or slightly more expensive. And so if you're selling an original course for, let's say, $99, then the upsell might be $149, $199, something in that kind of ballpark. And typically about 15 to 30% of people will also buy that.
Wow.
If you set it up properly. And the idea with that one is that you use something called a one-click upsell. They don't have to enter their credit card details again. They don't have to go through checkout again. They just click a button to say, yes, I also want to get this product. And you make sure it's a really good deal. You know, you're making it easy for someone to get it right there and then if they're in the buying mood and they're thinking, yeah, cool, I want all of the stuff that's available right now. And you might offer 30% off, 50% off, something in that kind of range if somebody gets it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that again, it adds another, could be 50%, 30% to your overall revenue that you're making from each customer.
I know many people are going to be thinking, this is, you know, I don't even know how to begin to do this one-click upsell or this is this again something that if I'm on, you know, at least a standard well-known platform, I can add it in pretty easily? Or
yeah, so I have a friend of mine, Shona, and she and I were talking about this idea over drinks one night in a bar in London, and explained the concept to her. She went home, she set it up for a product she was promoting the next day. She said it took her about an hour and she made about an extra $1,500 from it.
Nice.
So it's built into a lot of these systems, and you've got Teachable, Kajabi, Kartra, Thinkific. I think they all have it built in. There are some systems that don't, but a lot of them already have this built in.
Mm-hmm. All right, excellent. So bumps, upsales, what's the third topic that you recommend, like just get it done?
Yeah, so those are the two really obvious ones under increasing revenue per sale. So the next overall topic is increasing the percentage of email subscribers who buy each month. And what most people do, very commonly, course creators, typically they make a lot of their sales through their website, organic sales, just people go to the website, see the thing, buy it. They have an email list because they know an email list is important. Everyone's told them that. But then they don't ever send them any promotions. They don't ever tell them, right, now is the time to go buy this course. They do 3 a year. They typically do Black Friday and 2 others. I've heard some reason it's 3. I don't know why exactly, but it's almost always 3. I was
going to say, where's the 3 come from? Because I can see Black Friday and then it follows on pretty quickly. Hey, here's your Christmas special or your holiday year-end special. But then what is St. Patrick's Day?
4th of July, maybe. I'm not sure. It's just it's a thing. I don't know why. Don't always question these things.
The second quarter lull, John. It's the second quarter lull is what it is.
Yeah. So what we recommend to people is to send out 2 email promotions a month. And I hear the same problems with that from every single person. So I'll address those right now because I know what people are thinking is going to be the issue. First issue is people are going to unsubscribe because they're going to be really annoyed from getting so many email promotions. So what can we do about that? We can make the email promotions valuable in and of themselves. We can make them charming. We can make them helpful. We can make them friendly. So I'll give you, this is going to be the really basic version. This is not the advanced version. This is not the one that you build up to. But you could do this, this week, next week, something like that. You take 5 tips from in your course. You then put those into 5 different emails and you top and tail that by saying, this course is available on discount this week, 30% off. And course creators can do this because this is sending out useful tips. This is being helpful and friendly. And people who don't buy, like the goal that we have is your marketing should help more people than your courses ever will. So
I want to steal that. Say that again, because I think that's going to,
I stole it from, I think, Taki Moore. So
I was just saying, because that just needs to get in everyone's mind and explode a little bit, because I get it immediately, but your marketing should sell more than your courses ever.
Should help more. Your marketing should help more than your courses ever do. Yeah, help more people than your courses ever do. So your marketing should contain valuable, useful content, tips, tricks, things that people can implement quickly, that get them a quick win, get them going, oh, you know your stuff. This is really helpful. I can do this. And then for those people who want more support, and what we typically cover a lot of in the marketing is the what and the why. If people want more support with the how, they want more one-to-one support or group support or something, that's what they get more of like if someone buys a course, they get access to a Facebook group with a community, that's more valuable. You get the whole thing well structured, but you can take out little tips, something someone can implement in 5 minutes, get a benefit from about, let's say, learning the blues guitar. and how to play this riff, or how to do, this particular finger trick for how you're going to get your fingers, exercise for it, something like this. That's in your course. You share 5 tips during the week, and then you mention the courses on discount that week. And then the last day of the 5 days, you also say last chance to buy it at this discount.
Right.
And that is useful, friendly, helpful emails that people will like getting. They will choose to stay on your list because they're getting those emails. Your unsubscribe rate will go down versus your normal, just a regular newsletter, because it's just a little tip instead of being, it's too much for people to kind of take in. They'll really like it. So you do that. So the second objection is, but I haven't got time to do this.
Bye.
I haven't got time to put all of these together. And that's why this particular approach I like to start people with, because you've already written all this content. So you just pull out these 5 tips. That's all you're doing in there. We're not doing advanced stuff. We're not including testimonials. We're not including storytelling. None of this. Just pull out these 5 tips and put them in. And if people do that on a regular basis, they will see that people like getting those emails. They don't unsubscribe from them, and they make more sales. And that starts to get people a bit hooked with this kind of thing.
Love it. So you had mentioned earlier on that there is, since we're on the topic of email, what do you need to do to get your audience warmed up? So is the 5 tips thing, is that like an example of warming your audience up, or that, I mean, that's a revenue generator. So what's the difference in actually getting them warmed up and ready to buy?
Yeah, that's the reason why I mentioned that one, is because that kind of does both jobs. It does a bit of warming them up, and it does the promotion all in one go. Now, if you want to have a more advanced version of this, then what you can have is you do content for, let's say, a week, and then you have a promotion for a week. Or you do content for a few days, and then you send a promotion to people who engaged with that content. So you only send the promotion to those people who actually saw the content, clicked on it, liked, were interested in it. Other ways we do warming up the audience is webinars. So I love webinars. They're a little bit more advanced, but doing like a presentation on a particular topic, everyone comes on live, you answer all their questions, that warms people up as well. A lot of it is about how do you share stuff that people are going to be able to apply? But then other things that you can do that people find super helpful is sharing stories. So talking about the way that I learned this was, or the pain that I had before this was, and then I learned this thing and that helped me to go through. So people love to hear stories. Like, humans generally like stories. That's kind of how our brains work. So just telling stories is like in the same way that you might in the pub or something. Any story that is worth telling in the pub, I'm British, so I in the bar or whatever, is something that would be amazing to include in email marketing. If you look at Andre Chaperon, he does this. He's an email marketing guy, and he does this incredibly well. And his email open rate is like 60% or something like this, which is unheard of.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah,
so engaging and so much fun. There's a guy called Michael Haig, incredible. He does work with Andre Chaperon, and he is a Hollywood story consultant. And what he does is he works with people who are script writers for Hollywood, and he helps them to make their stories better. So he's done a bunch of stuff with Will Smith. And he also has done a course about email marketing, which I went through, which was fabulous. So he takes a story that somebody's got, and he's like, how can we increase the drama? How can we make this more exciting? How can we start, when you watch a movie like Fight Club, it like starts at the end. When he's in that building that's about to blow up, whatever, and he's got the gun in his mouth, and he starts there, and then they cut. You're like, what's going on? And then it cuts back to the beginning. You're like, what? They do that in emails as well. Like, how can you start in the middle where the most drama is, and then go back and then build up to it again? And all these kinds of things he does with email marketing. And that's like, I'm getting a little bit too advanced here. I'm kind of getting a bit overexcited. But
we can taste it. I can taste it for sure. Well, let me ask you this. I know that there's going to be at least, a handful of people on this that they just keep scratching their head. They're like, why do you keep talking about email? Email's dead.
Yeah.
Like this, we've moved on. We're an Instagram world now. We're a Snapchat world where I know that there you go. I don't even know. But why do you keep coming back to email? Why is email still king?
Yeah. So all of those things are fabulous for building an audience, and they suck for getting people to buy. It just doesn't seem to work that way. And I can't tell you exactly why, but I can tell you that it's true. So what we do is we go from social media, Snapchat if you want, but generally like we're dealing with like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, something like that, to lead magnet. So we get somebody onto the email list by offering them some free, useful, resource. They go onto the email list, then they receive emails that are useful and helpful, and then we make a promotion, and it works. And I can't tell you exactly why it doesn't work making the promotion from YouTube or Instagram or whatever. It's not that it doesn't work. It doesn't work as well. Like the people who are making the most money from this, the people who are making the most sales, this is the process they use. We invented none of this.
Sure.
We copied all of it from what are the people who are doing really well? What are, like in our case, we went and looked at what are 8-figure online course creators doing, just because of people that I know and where we've worked and just some opportunities we had. We were able to look under the hood of these 8-figure businesses and see what are they doing. And then we did something called funnel hacking as well, where you go through and you look, you sign up for this and you see what email you get next. And we did all of this to find out what works. And then we've taken that and codified it and tried to share that with people who are making, maybe $5,000 a month or $20,000 a month. And we're like, I'd love to reach that $1 million or,
Absolutely.
double.
Yeah. I want to add a zero on the end for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the audience right now, again, who are, professional educators, professors, teachers, and they're going to sit there, they're thinking it's like, look, I've got a course. This doesn't really apply to me because I don't charge for my course. I'm in a school district or I'm in a higher education. Like what is the usefulness of a funnel in that context? Would you just say, hey, look, don't worry about it. You're not profit driven or anything like that. Or are there things that you could learn from, a commercial enterprise that you could bring into some more of a traditional education setting?
Yeah. What I think there's an enormous amount to learn. And what I see is that people who have got this restriction of the fact that they need people to pay before they can go through the course, it's made them have to work harder, learn more, up their game. When I used to do triathlons, we would do swim training and they would tell us, right, this time you're going to swim with your hands closed. You can't use your hands at all, just your forearms. So you're going to have to learn how to use your forearms as part of the stroke. Right, this time you're only going to use your right arm, or now you're just going to use your feet or whatever. And what that forced you to do is get better at that one particular thing. And so people who have to get people to pay them for their course have to get good at this. And then what you can do as somebody who doesn't have to have people pay can go and take all of those techniques and apply them, and it's just going to go through the roof for them. And I think what's happening, and I'm not in that world as much, but from talking with you, what I understand is they're not doing email marketing. They're not warming up their audience. They're not giving them teasers and tasters and things to try and get them excited to go and take the course. They're just saying it's available, go and take it. And I think this is an incredible opportunity. How can you get your audience excited to take the course? Like chomping at the bit to the point where they would pay, except they're already in the university, they've already paid, or they're already in the workplace. They're already, it's already free for them. And then they'll be like, oh my God, this is incredible. Right. I don't even have to pay for it. I can get access to it. And I think the same things work for them, and I haven't proven it out, but I just can't see how it wouldn't. Where if you said, right, we're going to send out useful tips every day for a week about this particular topic, and then say, and you can take this course, here's where you go and sign up for it. Or you run a webinar and you share like the whole concept, the stories about why this thing works so well. And then you get people to sign up for the course at the end of it. I just think that is based on human psychology. So it's not related to whether people are paying for it or not. And you can take that and run with that.
I love it. I'm trying to think of the college experience as well, where, intro to, psychology or intro to philosophy or whatever, and how you take that from being, hey, this is a required course, you're going to take it anyway, to something that's really sexy, that has really interesting stories. You're going to pull that audience in, and, hey, here's your captive audience of 1,000 students that, are going to be there for that year anyway. What if they came out of that course? I'm making the case of the end game, right? What if they came out of that course and were just like, holy smokes, that blew me away. You know what I mean? Look at that as your profit center, where it's like, that is, your ability to come back and say, okay, now you're super engaged. What now? How can we go apply that to the rest of your college experience? How do we apply that to the, who you are growing as a person, whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to end up in a sale, right? It doesn't have to end up in a exchange of money. There's an exchange of other goods and services and resource and goodwill that are extraordinarily valuable to these people. So I can make the case.
Yeah, we had a maths professor who was really good at storytelling, and I remember it made this really big difference. He had this one theorem that he taught us, and he said, I was there when the guy showed this for the first time at a conference, like that's never been seen before, and he explained it to us. And I ran up at the end and I grabbed the piece of chalk that he'd used, and here it is. He's got a bag and he holds it up to show us. And it's like, it's got nothing to do with the actual theorem that he's teaching us, but it makes it more engaging. It makes it more fun, right? Including the stories. Later on in that course, he tells us about another theorem, and then he shows us how it works. And he says, I watched this one as well. I watched this being taught, for the first time somebody had shared it at a conference. And I ran up to go and grab the piece of chalk, and somebody else, I think, had seen me at a previous conference doing it. And he ran up and he barged me out of the way. And he grabbed the piece of chalk.
In the aisleway, there's elbows being thrown. That's awesome.
But none of them, no single professor that I had ever sold me on why I should take the course. Not even this guy. Like, I took special relativity, and special relativity is fascinating as a concept. Like, you get to understand about the speed of light and the way the universe works. And you know what? All I learned about in it was, how do you do the maths of it? Not, why is this cool? Why is this exciting? And I've read books about it voluntarily that are like just talking about that concept, like quantum mechanics. I was like, how have you made something that's so fascinating about the entire world so boring? Like, try it. Surely you want people to come and take this. Give some kind of a teaser about it. Like, I think that there's enormous potential to do something around that.
John, I'm, we're kind of coming up at the top of the hour here. I know one of the things that we had talked about doing was actually sharing the creation funnel. I'm gonna let people find your talk at the eLearning Success Summit here in 2021, where you actually build out one of these funnels in about 20 minutes. And I'm gonna encourage people to go over and check that out. It's a summit where they can get a ticket for free. Come on in, and your talk is available there. I think you're on day 3, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. But I'll look for that to be another touch point for us as well. Give us, kind of your summary here at the end. What are you looking forward to? But also, what, if I'm going to take a next step, maybe for the super beginner, the medium, and the advanced, maybe what are those immediate next steps that you'd recommend people do today in order to, use funnels to increase revenue in our courses?
Yeah, so if someone's actually selling courses, they're not that professor, they're actually selling courses, I would say order bumps and upsells. Look into it in the course software system you're using, figure out something that you could put in there. Does not have to be the perfect product, does not have to be just right, just has to be done. And you will see the difference and you will be blown away. I had someone email me the other day, I went on their podcast, afterwards they implemented it, and I told them, you know what, when you've made thousands of dollars from this, you can buy me a beer at a conference. And they emailed me and they said, I set it up on Monday, it's now Wednesday, I've made an extra $300 so far. That beer fund's looking like it's going to start.
That's right, exactly. I think you're going to be a well-imbibed individual.
Yeah. If you don't have that in place, and almost nobody does, then set it up. The second one I would say would be start sending email promotions and figure out some way, do one a month, try it out, see how it goes, but just start with something basic and get going with that. If you do that, then you're off. You're really off to the races, because you'll get hooked. You go, oh my goodness, there's something here. I can do some of this. It's exciting. If people want to know how much more money they could be making from this, then go to datadrivenmarketing.co/calculator. You fill in a form. We will work out for you how much more you could be making. It's not automated. We go through it, we figure it out, and we send it back to you. Like, this is about how much more you could be making based on the answers that you've given us. And that should help people kind of get excited about it, get an
Awesome.
idea of like, this could work for me.
And we'll definitely share that in the show notes, as well as put it on the website and whatnot as well. John Ainsworth, founder of Data Driven Marketing. Thank you again for being on the e-learning podcast today. I look forward to the next time we talk.
Thanks, Stephen. It was awesome.
Thanks again for tuning into today's episode of the e-learning podcast. If you like what you've learned today in this episode, I encourage you to either follow us or subscribe to us on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. And please do share this episode with one or two of your colleagues or friends. Also, I just want to remind you that you can level up your online learning game with all of the information that's available at the eLearning Success Summit. You can get your free ticket at elearningsuccesssummit.com. And finally, you can also stay up to date on everything that's important, all the news and the resources for e-learning professionals at lmspulse.com. Get our free newsletter by just going to lmspulse.com today. Thanks again.